All right, hello everyone. I know this is late. This is what, 2 days late at this point. I apologize. I have not been really in a position to record this the way I wanted to record it. But hey, better late than never. I'm here now. Today, we're going to look at League Patch 26.9. And I'm going to be honest with you, like I said, I've been in kind of a weird position. I've played a total of like maybe 4, 5 TFT games for this set. So we're going to quickly skim through the TFT notes after we're done with the league notes. So it's going to be a little 2-in-1 here. But I'm not like super into whatever the current TFT meta is, since I've only been able to play a few games. Hopefully that changes starting now, since now I'm back in this situation where I feel comfortable recording. But here we go. So 26.9. Role quests. All right, this is already kind of a big deal. To kick things off for Season 2, we have a set of changes to role quests that are aimed at making them generally more understandable and less punishing. So we actually, I think, went over this last time because they made a nice little video, which we saw. Let me actually turn this light on. So, quest point penalty applied to CS turrets plates. Minus 50%, minus 75%, but it decreases down to 0%. I see. Yeah, so there was a bit of a penalty if you, for example, left your lane to your role quest. You would only get half progress. Now you only get a quarter progress, but it eventually scales down. So it's more punishing earlier, but it gets better as the game goes on, which isn't bad. Passive point progression, 0.3 per second, increased to 1.6 per second while they are in the quest lane. So it's actually a little bit less while you're in lane. A tiny bit less, a minuscule. In quest lane defined as nearer past the lane's outermost turret, anywhere in the lane outside of your base. Wow. Okay, so that's a big one as well. Because this big problem that existed with some of the champs is it also kind of hurts you if you were like proxying or if you were playing for like topside jungle or something like that, right? I'm a top laner, so I'm just saying this from the point of view of a top laner. If you were in a situation where you were like, you wanted to like proxy the enemy, you got penalized even though you were top lane. So that's no longer the case. That's pretty good, honestly. Not everyone wants to proxy, but if, for example, you were playing for like topside jungle or you had a massive lane advantage, you didn't want to get punished for being super far ahead, right? So if it was like a situation where it's like you crash a huge wave onto the enemy tower and then your jungler comes through and then you're waiting and then you kill your enemy laner on their way back to lane, they're out of the game, but then you would still get punished somehow. Those are hinge cases, but it is nice that it's anywhere in the lane now. So if you're a Baus fan and you like to proxy, that's pretty good. Recall penalty to passive point earn. Function exists because passive point gain was reduced until that outermost turret. Saves passive point earned entirely for 12 seconds after recalling. Interesting. So that one's pretty straightforward as well. You got a penalty once you recalled until you got back to lane. Now you don't get the penalty at all until 12 seconds after you recall. So if you recall and you run straight back to lane, there's no penalty, effectively. Every 20 seconds blinked in lane, blah, blah, blah. Functionally, every 2 minutes you spend in lane, you can spend 1 minute roaming without penalizing your quest progress. After level 3, you start banking your roaming time. Wow. Yo, that's really, really interesting. Especially for mid lane and support. But especially mid lane, I think. Because a lot of mid laners actually kind of hated roaming a little bit more this season because of the quest progress getting shut down. So it would suck to feel like I'm an assassin, I'm going to roam, and it delays your quest progress a little bit, but you have to roam. So imagine you're an assassin like a Zed or something, and you roam and you don't get anything out of it, and mid lane your lane opponent like a Victor or something just pushed in the wave, and they don't get penalized, and you actually fall kind of far behind off of that. So that's nice. Quest rewards. EXP increase. So this is the top lane quest. Plus 12.5% from all sources. Plus 80 flat XP on champ takedown. And 11% from all other sources. Minor nerfs overall experience gain for top lane. Bonus distinguish between champion and non-champion sources. Effectively, this will help out top laners who prefer scrappy team fights over split pushing. Also ensuring that we avoid top lane experience creep situations where top laners who end up repeatedly killing each other scale their own level and experience rewards. Huh. Alright, believable. So that is definitely a nerf if you like playing heavy split push champs. For mid, we're replacing the empowered recall effect. Yes, this is what we saw in the video. So instead of getting an empowered recall, you get bonus adaptive damage. Oh no, you just get both. You get bonus AD and the AP. Okay. So it's not adaptive, you just get both. Bonus takedown gold, minus 10. So you still get the boots, right? Yeah, you just lose the empowered recall. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I think overall, mid laners will like the scaling damage more compared to the empowered recall. Because the empowered recall is just a nice little thing you get every so often, especially if you did manage to roam and get a couple kills. So now you don't even have to worry about the overlap from that. You can literally just get this nice little flat bonus that a lot of characters will be very happy about, especially characters that do mixed damage. Right? If you're an assassin like an Akali or a Katarina, you probably are salivating at this, actually. Minion waves. Melee minion health. Wow, they're buffing minions. Holy crap. Wow. Okay. Cute little buff to minions. We'll see how that goes. I'm actually going to wait to see what the feel of it is like. Alright, and we're actually at the champions now, finally. Ambessa! Ambessa has carried the Medarda legacy a bit too well. Her brutality and fantasy has resonated with her mains, but we believe her ult has felt slightly fast to the point that players hit by it often don't have clarity on what happened. Cast time actually... This is a very interesting change. Increased cast time. So you actually have a little bit more. You have a fraction of a second more to react to her casting it. And it's only 0.1 or 0.15 seconds, right? So it's not a lot, but it could literally be the difference, right? Literally like a few frames difference of you hitting flash. That's a very interesting change. I actually like that. Briar. One of the steepest mastery curves in League. However, as time has gone on, more and more players have ended up at the high end of that curve. I mean, that's funny because you're like, yeah, you could just get yourself killed completely. But her health growth is down by 5. Interesting. So minus 5 HP per level. It's not the biggest nerf overall. I feel like this is mostly going to impact her mid-early game. Most likely her early game. Being down an extra 30 HP, potentially. Around the time when you get your ultimate. So you unlock the ult, being down an extra 30 HP. Yeah, that makes sense. For a champ that lives dangerously like Briar, right? Because she has no built-in health regen, I believe. So she has no built-in health regen and has less health. So this is actually a bigger nerf to her durability than it appears. Because it's not just 5 HP. It's also the fact that she doesn't regen on her own. Because any health regen she gets comes from healing. Hey, Area. Thanks for the follow. Ezreal. Want to bring back some playstyles that have been lost to the sands of time. First up on that list is AP Ezreal. Dude, I used to play AP Ezreal way back in the day. I used to play AP Ezreal mid literally before on the old Summoner's Rift. That's how long it's been. AP ratio 50. 40%? Really? Plus 25% on the AP ratio for the Q. 70 through 90 on the Essence Flux. Now just flat 90. So 20% buff early equalizes later. True Shot Barrage AP ratio. Ooh, plus 20%. Man. Damage to minions, non-epic monsters. A little bit less base damage against minions and non-epic monsters. But now, plus 50% bonus AD. Holy crap. Plus 70% bonus AP. I mean, that's just damage to minions and epic monsters, but like the scaling kicking in by that much is a lot. You're just going to one-shot minion waves by the time you get some items. Gragas. Gragas top is most impacted by the removal of Phase Rush. No one time will tell whether Grasp or Comet comes out on top. Oh, right. This is also the patch where they changed Phase Rush. Drunken Rage damage reduction. 10 to 18 plus 4 is now 10 to 26% damage reduction. Dude. 26% damage reduction after you max this. But you max this ability last, so I guess it's not the craziest thing in the world, but 26% damage reduction is a lot. Especially for a champ like Gragas. Gragas, you know, we're talking top lane Gragas, so it's normally a counter pick, and the thing with Gragas as a counter pick, it's really difficult to interact with him. Normally when you're picking Gragas, you're picking into something like Jax, and Jax can't even play the game, right? Like, you just sit there and you zone him off the wave. If he ever goes in any manner, you body slam him and walk away. I guess with the changes to Phase Rush, it's a little different. Because usually with Gragas, it's like, you ever go in at all, and he hits you with the full combo, and you're stunned, and he's walking away with Phase Rush, and you can't really hit him. Like, at the most, maybe you get off an auto or maybe an ability, but you can't really trade him. So that's what makes this damage reduction all the scarier. The little bit of damage you do get in can get reduced by over a quarter. Scary stuff, man. On top of his healing. Kennen. Our second lost playstyle is AD Kennen. We're adding critical strike synergy to Kennen's W and E. Really? So his electrical surge. New passive. When ready, now applies the passive effect to the entire attack as an on-hit rather than just a first on-hit trigger. Can now critically strike. Wow. Holy crap. So crit AD Kennen. Yeah, they didn't just want to do too much of an attack speed on hit. Because then it would still just be AP Kennen, right? People would just build like a Gnasher's Tooth or something. So now it's like actual AD crit Kennen. You want to build an IE on this champ. That's crazy. Lightning Rush, attack speed buff. Critical strikes now extend the duration of Lightning Rush's attack speed buff by 1 second. This can happen any number of times. So when you're speeding around in his E and you're kiting, you could auto crit and then it stays up for another second, which lets you keep kiting to auto again. That's wild, actually. Holy crap. AD Kennen. Shyvana. With Shyvana having me out for a few packs, we've taken stock of where she's landed, broadening bruiser item viability, and sharpening the distinction between AD and AP builds. Yeah. Shyvana, when she was popular, she seemed pretty broken, but there was only one real build. It was like, what, Kraken Slayer with Dusk and Dawn. So now it looks like they really want to kind of peel back on the hybrid a little bit. On the bruiser side, we've reduced the emphasis on pure DPS items like Kraken Slayer. Adjustments to her base stats, Q and W create more room for Sheen, ability haste, and health. For build differentiation, AD Shyvana looks to engage in more sustained combat through auto attacks by building big Q hits. Using her W for sustain, E for supplementary power. AP Shyvana, by contrast, centers around damage on R and E. So just like old Shyvana, yeah. They're really just preserving what old Shyvana was all about, right? Basically. So, attack speed buffed, attack speed ratio nerfed. attack speed growth, or attack damage growth buffed. So a little bit more base attack speed, but a little less on the attack speed ratio should equalize. A little bit more damage. Ember Strike. Passive, 1%. Plus 1% bonus attack health. Is this the same? Oh, it doesn't get the AP scaling anymore. For the target's max health. Hit reduction has been halved. Area physical damage. I actually increased the AP scaling here on the little AoE that you get afterwards. Okay. Inferno Ages. So this is her shield and movement speed. Cooldown. Less. Wow. It's 1 less at rank 1, but down to 3 seconds saved at max rank. I mean, you max it last, right? That makes sense. Shield, 60 to 140 plus 5% is now 75 to 155 plus 12%. Oh, but it's not max health, it's bonus health now. Okay. Alright, so that makes sense. I see what they mean now, right? Like, this is, you know, obviously more geared towards doing a bruiser build because you want to build HP. Whereas the AP builds don't really build a whole lot of bonus HP, so it's like a massive nerf for them. Damage 80 through 160 plus 40% is now 80 through 160 plus 65% bonus AP. So it does deal a little bit more damage. But there's no AD scaling on it anymore. Dragon Form Heal. 60 to 100 plus 4. So it only cares about your missing health now. With a little bit of bonus. With a little bit of flat on the front. Movement speed is now separate from shield. Really? So if the shield is destroyed, you keep the movement speed? Molten Burst, cooldown. Less, actually. By up to 2 seconds at max rank. Magic damage, 80 to 200 plus 35% AD plus 7% AP. This goes up to 80% AP now. Plus target max health. Okay. Subsequent explosion damage against the same target. A little bit less. That makes sense. A little bit of a nerf because they're adding this bonus max health. And then the slow is at its mid right now. So it's better early, worse late. 30%. Alright, so some big changes to Shyvana here to differentiate her builds a little bit. Time will tell if it'll be enough. I don't think she's going to be all that popular still. But it is nice to see them putting in substantial changes. Tahm Kench. Last patch adjustment. Very slight nerf for both top and supports. We're making some support-focused improvements. Okay, but like, do you have a reason to play this champion top lane? Like, Dusk and Dawn is cool and all, but for what reason would I ever play Tahm Kench? You know? I feel like you get smoked by too much of the top lane roster. And then the top laners you don't just destroy, just don't care. Alright, like if I play Tahm Kench into like an Ornn, for example, does he care? Not really. He just builds the AP Sunfire, or sorry, the magic damage Sunfire. Magic resist Sunfire, sorry. The name is escaped. Hollow Radiance, sorry. The name escaped me. And then he just doesn't care. So Grail to HP conversion, 45 to 100 is now 60 to 100. So that is actually better sustain. Move speed on Ally Devour increased by 20%. Well, that is actually hefty buffs to support Tahm Kench if you play it. The weird thing about Tahm Kench, especially support, is that he's always been very, very skewed towards higher levels of play. Specifically pro play. Like, you do not see a lot of this champ in solo queue at all. And when you do see it, it's kind of more like, it's almost like a cheese kind of thing, right? It almost feels like a cheese pick. I don't know. It's a hefty buff to support Tahm Kench, but again, this is not a champ I expect to see a lot. Talia. Same spot as Gragas, Rip Phase Rush. So they changed her Q. Base damage. 50 to 120 is now 55 to 125, so 5 base damage. And then bonus monster damage. Actually got nerfed, -3 base damage on jungle. I guess that makes sense for jungle, because it doesn't matter as much. So a little bit better in lane, a little bit worse in the jungle for Taliyah. Teemo, our third lost playstyle. On-hit focused Teemo builds have slowly fallen out of vogue because he's been turned around Malignants and Liandries. I mean, yeah. Because he can turn his shrooms into literally landmines that take away half your HP. So Toxic Shot, initial damage, bonus AD ratio, 10% bonus AD, dot damage bonus AD ratio, 30% bonus AD over 4 seconds. So this is just a straight up buff, effectively. Because he's not losing any damage from anywhere. But now, if anywhere in your build you have any extra bonus AD, this is a straight buff to his E. I don't really know that this will bring back on-hit Teemo. I know there are some enjoyers of it. Some people who like to go like the press the attack build on Teemo and build early on-hit, like a Nashor's or something, which doesn't give you the bonus AD. But I wonder what you would actually build, because you're not going to build like a Rage Blade or anything, right? You're not going to build like a Bork or anything either. Maybe if you're one of the people who like to build Hextech Gunblade, maybe that could be pretty good. I don't know. I don't think we're going to see too much on-hit Teemo. On-hit AD Teemo. I don't think we're going to see too much of that. When late game, a stray shroom around the Baron pit could completely knock the enemy team off of Baron by comparison, but Rage Blade and rework Static Shiv. Oh, Static Shiv got a rework too? I don't know. We'll see. I don't expect many people to go in for that unless you're a Teemo enjoyer and you play a lot of Teemo. Udyr. Currently, I feel that Udyr's ADQ builds are on extremely one note, which makes sense when you look at their scaling. Yeah. 9 out of 10 times your Udyr is AP. Just straight up. There's almost no reason to go AD. Especially since Wilding Claw's Awaken bonus scales with AP. So you can go AP and max his Q and still get huge amounts of isolation damage. So there's like no reason to ever really go AD. But let's see. Bonus damage on the first 2 attacks. 3 to 8% plus 4. So he lost 0.5 bonus AD here, actually. Am I reading this wrong? This actually is a slight nerf, right? 5 to 45 plus 25 is now 6 to 36 plus 20. Oh, and then they added in a little bit of a bonus HP here. Cool. His bonus HP or the enemy's bonus HP? His bonus HP, right? That would make it a little bit better to do like a Bruiser AD sort of build, I suppose. Awaken bonus damage. Additional 2 to 4 based on level. Then they cut this in half. Oh, but then again, right here, plus 1% per 1,000 bonus HP of the target's max health. So again, he is stronger against tankier targets. AD Udyr is stronger against tankier targets because of this 1% bonus. Awaken chain lightning damage per bounce. So still 1.5 to 3. It's a slight nerf to the AP ratio on this. I'm still not seeing why you would choose to do AD Udyr over AP, though. It is a little bit better against tankier targets, but is it still worth it? Over just going AP? In a worst case scenario, you can go hard AP Udyr and just build like a Malignance or something and just throw the Volcano at the enemy team if they're all AD. Or sorry, if they're all melee. Iron Mantle, new 8 shield AD. Oh, here we go. AD ratios on his other abilities. So his shield has a 50% bonus AD ratio. And then it goes into 100% on a way. Okay. All right. The heal is well 50. Okay. I get it now. Never mind. I can see how this could be worth it. Move speed AD ratio. An extra 5% move speed per 100 bonus AD? Awakened as well, 10%? Holy crap. Okay, I judged too soon. So now if you go 80 Udyr, you get a much bigger shield and a much faster E. Holy crap. Okay, 80 Udyr. That's something worth trying. Warwick, passive Eternal Hunger, on hit damage, 6 to 46, now 6 to 55. One thing worth remembering here. A little bit of bonus damage on his passive for every auto is nice already, but it's better than it looks because his passive also gives him bonus dealing based on the bonus damage he's doing from his autos. So this is actually better than it looks. Not bad. Xin Zhao, our fourth lost play style. AP Xin Zhao, I'm guessing? Yes, AP Xin Zhao is back. Healing 3 to 5 max plus 65% AP. 3 to 5 max plus up to 90% AP. Holy crap. Newer players would not remember the terror that was AP Xin Zhao. 90% AP scaling on his max HP heal. Oh god, I'm scared. So Dusk and Dawn Xin Zhao might actually be a terror on the Rift. Wind becomes lightning. Slow on thrust. 50% for 1.5 seconds, 50% for 1.5 plus. Oh, I see. Okay. He gets a bigger slow scaling with his AP. Audacious Charge, magic damage. 50 to 150 plus 60. 50 to 150 plus 120? You just doubled it? 120% AP ratio scaling on his dash. That's gonna hurt. Holy crap. Attack speed buff 80%. 40 to 80 is now 38 to 70. So minus 10% when max. But plus 1% per 5% permanent attack speed. Plus 10%. 100 AP for 5 seconds. Dude. This is gonna hurt. AP Shun's about to start nuking people and be unkillable. Zeri. Dude, how many times are you going to do this to Zeri? I feel like out of all the ADCs in the game, Zeri's been hit with the most, like, practically reworks. Look, everything in her kit got hit. So, bigger range on her passive. 60 to 150 plus 18, 70 to 160 plus 20%. So the execute threshold is much bigger. And a better AP scaling. Burst Fire, this is her pseudo auto attack. 15 to 23 plus 120, 21 to 33 plus up to 110. So a little bit less AD ratio scaling, but a higher base. Excess attack speed to AD. Nerfed as well by 20%. Now forced to quick cast. Wall crit multiplier. Minus 25% on the Ultra Shock laser. But they doubled the AP ratio if you're an AP Zeri enjoyer. Bonus magic damage on Spark Surge. Base damage increase up to 5. Cooldown. Higher early equalizes late. Cooldown refresh. Applies on attacks versus everything. Oh my. Lightning Crash. Burst AD ratio. Minus 40%. Dude. MS per stack is higher though. Stack duration longer. Okay. So yeah, they're pulling her away from her burst damage. Which is exactly what it says here. Zoe, looking to move some of Zoe's power out of landing phase, statching in a skillful outplay around her bubble. Damage per bolt on Spell Thief. So a lot less action. Minus 5% plus a base 5. I mean, you don't aim this, right? It's like Ari's a Foxfire, so that makes sense. So the total damage, yeah. Minus 15% total. Plus 15 base damage. Sleepy Trouble Bubble, 16 to 12 is now 18 to 14. So 2 damage at, 2 seconds at all levels. But refunds 30% of cooldown when you hit an enemy champion. So the cooldown's actually substantially less if you can keep hitting the bubble on enemy champions. Axiom Arc. And take down refund 15%. It now refunds 10% base, but with more per lethality. So Axiom Arc actually scales better with your lethality. Alright. Finally, something really new and cool. We got new base items. Or new starter items, rather. So, Doran's Bow. This is our attack speed starting item. So, as you can see, unlike Doran's Blade, you don't get bonus HP here. You get bonus attack speed instead of bonus HP. And a little less Omnivamp. Very cool for your very attack-focused champions. Doran's Helm. This is your resistance-based starting item. So Doran's Shield gives you HP, and then it gives you health regen, right? So it gives you a nice little amount of sustain. Doran's Helm will instead give you bonus armor and MR. Very cool. So I'm wondering if you're like a Cassante or an Ornn or something, and you're into a lane where you don't really need the bonus health regen, so you don't need to stack Doran's Shield plus second wind and stuff like that. You can be greedy and take this instead, and this is worth holding way longer than Doran's Shield in that case, right? If you're like an Ornn or a Cassante or something and you get the bonus resistance scaling, this is way better to hold until you actually are buying something that's better statted. Dusk and Dawn. One of the standout items for the season so far? Yes, we feel like Dusk and Dawn is the strongest item in the season. Now also heals the... Dusk and Dawn now heals the user for 10% of your AP plus a bonus HP. Did I speak too soon about Tahm Kench? Or Jax for that matter. It gives 50 less health, 10 less ability power, and 5% less attack speed. So it is a huge nerf to this item, stat-wise, but now it heals you. That is insane. Endless Hunger. Melee AD fighters face major trade-offs when considering this item against building other durability phase focus items. Yeah, I've seen Endless Hunger get played by just not the champ so it was designed for, right? Like Ezreal is like the main champ I see building Endless Hunger. So unique passive Famine. Grants 5 plus 13% oh wow. So they actually increased how much haste you're getting out of this for melee champs. So it's kind of like Blade of the Ruin King at that point, right? Where now they have to differentiate between melee and range to make melee players more likely to build this item. Gluttonous Greaves. I saw this before. Very, very cool. We have Omnivamp boots now. So build path. Boots. Plus 650 gold. Regular movement speed. But you get 4% Omnivamp. On champ take now. Gain 1% Omnivamp permanently. Stacking up to 6 times. So up to 10% bonus Omnivamp from these boots. And if you get the upgraded boots from going mid lane. While above half health. Deal 5% increased damage. While below half health. 15% increased healing, shielding, and regen. This is kind of hype. I'm not going to lie. It's mostly mid lane, and the thing is, most champions are not going to go for this because the trade-off is just too significant, right? Too many other boots are just way too good. Ninja Tabby giving you basically 12% damage reduction against auto attackers is too good. Merc Tread's giving you not just MR but tenacity is too good. But against those champs that really feel like they can be greedy and get a little bit bonus here, like if you like to play assassins, for example, and you feel like you can get away with it, it could be pretty cool, man. I can see like a Zed or something deciding to just capitalize and take Gluttonous Greaves and gives himself a little bit more staying power to survive extended battles. I don't think it'll be better than some of the more resistance focused boots. But if you're in a situation where you're like, okay, I can get the bonus movement speed from like Swifties, or I could go Gluttonous Greaves, I don't know, man. It could be pretty good. Hubris. Hubris cross buffs put it in line with a lot of other first slot lethality items, but in its current state feels like it's crowding out other options. Yeah, I saw that. A lot of assassins were actually very much favoring Hubris now. Like I was watching, I don't remember who it was, but he was playing a lot of Ambessa jungle with Hubris first item. So they nerfed the base AD, but buffed the passive AD per stack. But then the bonus AD is actually decreased. Okay. Wow. So this is just a straight up nerf. But if you are able to get more stacks, it does eventually become a buff if you get enough stacks. I'm not doing the math to figure out how many. Removed opportunity. This item should have been gone a while ago, I think. It was like a niche item that was like really, really good on a number of champs as like kind of a cheap lethality item that was really good at poking. You know? Like I feel like Jace loved this item, or like Pyke loved this item. But I feel like it's like, I think it's good they ruined this item. They should definitely rework this item and then bring it back next season to give it a bit more focus on maybe the fantasy of dipping in and out of combat. So yeah, not shocked that this item is gone. It definitely needs some major changes before it can come back. Staff of Flowing Water. So here we go for our enchanters. Healing or shielding another gem grants both you and them 40 ability power and 15 ability haste. Oh wow, so it gives less ability power, 5 less, but now it also gives ability haste to both of you. In exchange, though, it lost a little bit of its base ability haste. Interesting. Reworked Static Shiv. So we got a bit of a spoiler about this in the earlier section of this patch notes. Scout Slingshot. I don't build this item very often, so I actually don't know the original build path. It builds off of Aether Wisp? So it has an AP scaling plus move speed. So 40 attack damage, 45 ability power, 30% attack speed, 4% move speed. Your energized trigger fires a chain lightning, dealing 60, increased to 90, bonus magic damage. Applies on-hit effects to secondary mouse targets. Basic attacks are an additional +9 energized stacks. So could this be a resurgence of mages building Static Shiv? This looks like it's supposed to be for hybrid. Retain this opportunity to move it into a scaling purchase for on-hit builds, a build path that has been missing some itemization since we opened up 7 slots. Huh. So might this be... I'm just thinking like the champs that like the bonus ability power. So like Varus, Kaisa, right? They're on-hit champions that actually appreciate the bonus AP. So might this be like a huge bonus to those champs? While also trying to keep mages from just building it. Trailblazer, removed. Not shocked. Once again, another niche item that was also kind of oppressive on some characters. Like I know like Bard loved this item, for example. But now it's gone. Needs some hefty changes before it can be brought back. Rework Voltaic Cyclosword. Galvanized. Damage enemy champions with ability triggers energized if it is ready. Your energized trigger grants you lethality and deals bonus physical damage. This bonus is capped against no. Oh wow! So in a way, this is actually kind of like this is kind of like old Dustblade in a way. So this no longer slows, right? Yeah. So the slow is gone, but this does a huge amount of bonus damage, right? This looks like a massive amount of bonus damage. 9% current health bonus damage on an auto? It's less lethality though, but it is cheaper. We're going to have to see. This could be a huge deal. This could be a huge amount of bonus burst damage right away, because I can easily see a Zed. Did Zed really need the slow from Psycho Sword? I feel like he didn't. And with Opportunity on, I can see Zed hitting you with the Psycho Sword. He gets in that his empowered auto. If you're below half HP, that's a huge amount of bonus damage, man. Or it helps him get in range because he can auto you early on. Because like I said, this is towards AD casters. He can auto you early on to get that huge chunk of current health damage. Yeah. So Cyclosaur's identity has been changed. It's just huge current health damage for burst damage now. Without the slow. Less lethality, though, is going to hurt. So new, Deathfire Touch. So Deathfire Grasp is back in rune form. And it's a sorcery tree keystone, obviously, it's blue. Damaging a champion with an ability burns them. The burn deals 4 to 12 level scaling. Bonus AD plus 3% AP. It's adaptive damage, actually, so you don't have to be a mage. After the burn has been on the target for 3 seconds, the damage of the burn increases by 100%. Really? Wait. So it's actually not Deathfire Grasp. It's just an infinite burn? Is there a cooldown on this? So how good is this with like Brand and Cassiopeia? Damaging champion burns them for 4 seconds. And they don't put a cooldown here. And then the burn increases when it's on for 3%. Does it increase again after another 3 seconds? Dude, I'm thinking like Brand, Cassiopeia. Yeah, this is just the damage over time rune. And this is for any damage over time, right? So if you like playing Twitch, for example. Or Teemo. Wow. It scales with both your AD and your AP. It's adaptive. Very interesting. So yeah, our damage over time champions could really, really like this. Normally, your damage over time champs will just be fine with like Comet. Like I said, Brand, he'll just take Comet. Cassiopeia will just take Phase Rush. But yeah, Phase Rush is removed and we have something new, Storm Raider Surge. But wow, this is very interesting. Anyway, Phase Rush, very problematic rune. It's gone now. The champs that built it did it. Phase Rush was targeted towards a very specific group of champs, and the champs that used it way too well. It was like impossible to catch these champs or even trade with them because of how easily they proc Phase Rush. Vladimir, Rise, like I said, Cassiopeia, a number of melee champs as well, like Gragas and which we saw earlier. So it's good to see that they actually removed this. This rune is really, really annoying. Yeah, Garen as well. So Storm Raider Surge, this is replacing Phase Rush. Since Storm Raider Surge asks the user to commit to dealing a lot of damage and generally ends up having its input scale over time, it's able to support much of the same power as Phase Rush in a healthier, more exciting way. So, dealing 25% of a champion's max health within 3 seconds grants move speed and slow resistance for 3 seconds on a 20 to 10 second cooldown scaling on level. Speed, 40%, 75% for range champs. Slow resist, 50%. So, this is just the new, this is the new Phase Rush. but instead it is now based on the amount of damage you can do. Instead of landing multiple abilities at once, you just need to do a certain amount of damage. So if you can land a high amount of burst damage, you can proc this every time, no matter what abilities you're using. Not bad. I think it will be healthier for the game, because it is asking you to actually do damage instead of just being annoying. Right? It's not a get out of jail free card. Arcane Comet. Cooldown refund removed. New. Now deals up to 100% increased damage based on distance. Wow. That's cool. So Comet doesn't refund anymore, but it deals more damage the further away you are. 30 to 130 plus 10 is now 15 to 100. Lower base damage though. Yeah, lower base damage, but it makes up for it with the distance. Hail of Blades. Hail of Blades has become an extremely niche keystone. It's always been extremely niche. It didn't become niche. It's always been niche. These blades are too sharp. We're shifting some of the attack speed power bush into a new bonus damage effect. Ooh. Attack speed, 160, 80 for 3 attacks. Now 120%, so minus 40%. And then minus 20 for ranged. For 3 attacks, increased by plus 1 attack if you cast an ability that resets your auto attack. Attacks empowered by Hail of Blades deal bonus true damage. Holy crap. So if you have an auto reset, you get bonus Hail of Blades proc. So up to 5 Hail of Blades attacks now, if you have auto resets. And bonus true damage. Dude, did Hail of Blades Cho'Gath just get even stronger? That's hype. I like that. Ranked Season 2. It already started. Like I said, I'm a little late. Arena got some heavy adjustments. A bunch of new augments. A crap ton of new augments, actually. And we saw the augment level things in our last update. Reworked augments as well. Holy crap. They changed the whole structure of everything. Jesus, man. And a bunch of new guests of honor. So yeah, just hop into Arena. There's a bunch of new stuff. Legendary item anvils. A little bit more expensive. That was interesting to me. Set value rather than rolling. 500 gold per round lost. Wow. Alright, cool. So some big changes to Arena. Changes to Aram. Anything big? Not really. Bug fixes. WASD will be enabled. And yeah. Wow. That was a lot of patch notes. That was almost 50 minutes of talking. Man, okay. This is actually pretty huge overall, I think. Some huge changes here, especially to items and systems. This is a massive patch. But I guess it is basically a new season, so I'm hyped, man. I'm honestly hyped. I think they made some really good changes here. I am excited specifically for them bringing back old playstyles, right? AP Ezreal, AD Kennen, AP Xin Zhao. I'm actually scared of AP Xin Zhao. That sounds amazing to me. I'm really excited. All right, as promised, I'm going to quickly skim. Very quick. We're just going to go through it. Like I said, haven't been able to play a lot of TFT. Just haven't had the time for it. I've honestly been playing like other games that are smaller time commitment. Like I know I've been playing like a lot of Hearthstone, for example, if you can believe that. So Timebreaker nerfed. So you get less XP and rerolls in the early game. Units. Briar, nerfed. Leona, nerfed. Jax, buffed. No, he's not. He's nerfed. Sorry. Some nerfs to some units here. Opening encounters. So we actually have more encounters. Wow. So that's kind of cool. So you would see gods at the start, right? But now you have encounters plus your gods. Not bad. New encounters in total. So some lesser champ dupes. That's nice. Artifact anvil. Holy crap. Augments appear on stages 3-1, 3-2, and 3-3 instead. It's basically LeBlanc. (2-1) gain 8 free rerolls, cheaper levels. Oh my god. People are gonna like bum rush priority in with that. Each level costs 2 XP less. Augment distribution. Fine. Loot system. Fine. God Army gold offering 2 less gold. I would be shocked if Ahri doesn't get nerfed. Ahri did not get nerfed. Wait. You want to go? You should go for the rest of the game. Maximum interest is increased. Gain bonus gold. Holy crap! Ahri's amazing. A refund. If you make a top 4, gain 30 gold. Wow. So just a bunch of new blessings. Holy crap. Adjusted. Ahri. Here we go. Nerf. 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 And nerf. Okay. I was really scared that Ahri wasn't going to get nerfed. Alright, changes, traits. Anima more tech. Okay. 300 tech cash out. So some adjustments to the cash outs. Adjustments to Arbiter. Like I said, we're just quickly flying through this. I haven't gotten to play enough games. Pandora's bench has been removed because of Thresh's new blessing. So Thresh can basically give Pandora's bench now. Augment adjustments, emblems. And I'm sorry. I'm not going to go too much into TFT here. Because I need to play more of the game. But anyway, that's going to do it for me. Yeah. I'm really hyped about these League of Legends patch notes. We talked about 48 minutes worth of it. TFT, I'm sorry if you watch for TFT. I need to play more of the game. And I will be this weekend. So, yeah. Thanks to those of you who tuned in. This is a bit of a sloppy exit. But I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.